Well, did you enjoy your meal? Austin, could you bring the serving staff and the kitchen staff out, please? Everybody out? Everybody out? I can never get Greg out, so I'm throwing my weight around now. Get everybody out. Come on, Lynn. Come on, Lynn. Come on, Lynn. Don't make me come in there. Kaylin, come on. All right, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Back to work. We are blessed to have such a great food service in Airmark. And again, let me just thank you for your partnership in all of this. I do want to see if you contributed in any way, either through manual labor or through some kind of contribution to our dining hall, stairs hall renovation. Could I ask you to stand, please? We want to thank you. So if you contributed in any way, please stand. Come on now. Come on now. Stand up. Stand up. We want to thank you. Kirk, if you would stay standing, I just want to publicly thank you again. I can't thank you enough for the work that you did and the way that you did that work. You have a genius of figuring things out and doing so in a way that everybody feels good about. I don't know how you do that, but I just am blessed to work with you. So thank you so much for your leadership on this project. If you get me out of this, I'll do whatever you want me to do. That's what he said. That's what the prayer he prayed almost 30 years ago. He didn't tell me what trouble he got himself into. He said I'd fire him if I knew that information, so I hear nothing. But he found himself in a spot of trouble and did what many of us tend to do. He negotiated with the man upstairs. Little did Greg know that God would take him up on his prayer. 2 weeks after those words ascended heavenward, Greg was working as the chef at Bethany Bible College, now Kingswood University, where he's remained a beloved fixture in that role for almost 30 years. Our feeling was that this was not just about a matter of duration, although doing anything for almost 29 years is remarkable. But it really is your dedication to the task. Tammy mentioned that you're always here. Abby suggested we build an apartment. I think those are both accurate statements. I stand at the top of my hill. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I look down the hill, and Greg's beat me to work. And you're there long after, probably long after I go to bed. I don't know. But it isn't just that. It's the way you do it. And the way you're here, not only to provide food, but service. It's good food. Wouldn't you agree? It's great food. But it's the service. It's the service with joy. It's the service to our staff and to our students. It's giving of yourself way, way, way beyond what anybody could ask you to do. So this just seems an appropriate way of acknowledging. Those students that you've served through the years, many of them are now alums. They deeply appreciate the influence Greg had on them. I had the opportunity at a ministerial gathering where most of those in attendance were Kingswood graduates. And when I announced that the dining hall would be named after Greg, I kid you not, the place erupted in spontaneous and enthusiastic applause. One alum confessed later that he had never been more proud of his alma mater than for this decision to honor you. So, Greg, we couldn't be any more proud to have you as one of ours. And this is just just a few tokens. It's a certificate. It's flat, so you could probably chop things on it. I don't know. But it says, Kingswood University hereby presents this certificate of commendation to Greg Mann in appreciation for your dedication and distinguished service as Director of Food Service, presented on the 16th day of October 2020. And because you're always outside taking trash to the dumpster, bringing stuff in, we thought you might need a jacket. And so we got you this Kingswood jacket. You'll be sporting the swag, Greg, but I know you'll soon have it covered with food. So enjoy it while it lasts. This letter reads, Dad, Rob and I wish we could be there tonight to celebrate this special day with you. We are so excited for you and Mom, both as you start this new adventure in your life. I've been reflecting over the past several months and am so proud of the heritage you've provided your children with. You've instilled within us not only a good work ethic, but the importance of having quality time with family and a relationship with the Lord. Growing up at Kingswood brings so many wonderful memories. I remember when your office was in the library, and then when the administration building was built, how large it was to me. I loved playing work in the room just off your office and thought it was so cool to be able to use the old carbon copy paper. Times have changed a lot over the years as you and I both have grown older, but one thing remains the same. I love you, Dad, and am so proud and thankful to say you are my father. Thank you for always being there for me, no matter what. Your character is one in which I try to exemplify in my own life. Congratulations, Dad, on your retirement. We love you very much, Janet and Rob. Others have sent their greetings, and we want to hear first from Prez. He encouraged me today in an email to give you a hug. I said, Dave, I can't give him a hug. It's COVID. He said, a virtual hug. So here you go, Ivan. There you are. But let's hear from former President Dave Metters.
Warm greetings to you, my dear friend Ivan Graham, and greetings to all of the Kingswood family in the matchless name of Christ.
Scott, you want to start that again? Let's see if we can get that right.
For inviting me to join.
Played all right before. Let's see if we can get it right.
Warm greetings to you, my dear friend Ivan Graham. Warm greetings to you, my dear friend Ivan Graham, and greetings to all of the Kingswood family in the matchless name of Christ.
Scott, why don't you see what you can do with that, and we'll turn to Dr. Art Maxwell, Academic Dean Emeritus, who knows a thing or two about working with Ivan.
Just a thing or two, and a few of them I can even say. Yep. I wrote it out because there are dangers in just ad-libbing something like this. And I'm also keenly aware that sometimes these things can get into an expression of a roast rather than a toast. But my good friend Ivan, you deserve much better. So no roasting, just toasting. It was my privilege to work with Mr. Ivan Graham from 1991 to 2008. and then again for the academic year 2010. However, I've known him since about, I think it was 1984, when I taught as adjunct faculty for a year while living in Bristol. As I've taken time to more purposely reflect on Ivan's years of service for the King and for Kingswood, many descriptive words have come to my mind. I offer these in no particular order, and I believe all are significantly Ivan. The first word that popped into my head was the word enduring. Enduring. Ivan has outlasted 5 presidents and was working on his 6th when he finally said enough is enough. I don't know, I'm not going to mention anything more about that.
I whooped him.
You took him to ground, that's for sure. Yeah. Now that might sound like such a big deal until you stop to realize that each of these men had widely different personality quirks and character traits, mostly quirks. Everyone was different, Ivan. Everyone was different. Each had his own unique ideas as to how this institution should operate and what should be accomplished. But you endured all these changes with astounding ease and grace. I can say from personal experience that transitions were seamless because of you, because of your enduring quality. Professionalism, another word I thought of when I thought of Ivan. To each of these presidents, and in fact to all administrators, Ivan has always offered sound professional advice. Not always what we wanted to hear, but always what we needed to hear. His professionalism has also been recognized by other institutions in Sussex who have and have had business dealings with the university, such as local banks and especially auditors. For it never failed that annually the latter have heaped praise upon Ivan for his work with the books. Not cooking them, but doing just such an efficient, professional job of keeping records on behalf of the institution. Flexibility comes to mind, Ivan, when I think of you. You are flexible. I think this fact is attested to on page 104 of Experiencing God's Present, the most recent history of Kingswood University, available on Amazon for $25. The author makes nothing on it other than the satisfaction that you've read it. On that page 104, you'll see that during his years of service, Ivan has filled a total of 7 different positions listed there for the university. And they are, started out as business manager, director of institutional advancement, chief financial officer and director of plan giving, chief financial officer and acting director of institutional advancement, vice president for finance and human resources, vice president for finance and operations. Ivan, these are the official ones that I could find, but I know from working with you there have been others, to be sure. Maybe not job descriptions, but other things that you have done. You see, for whatever Ivan was asked to do, if it was at all possible to be done, his answer was always yes, always yes. In addition, he and Debbie have spent countless hours and driven countless miles promoting the cause of the university through donor development and fundraising. And I think that probably will continue. I have a feeling. Sense of humor. Now, I only mention this in passing, but it certainly has taken a sense of humor to work with all those presidents over these many years. If you didn't have that, you'd have been dead in the water. What if Ivan said there was only one that was perfect to work with? Well, if he didn't say that, he meant to. Ivan has always taken his work seriously, to be sure, but never himself too seriously. And he could always lighten the darkest of times and the heaviest of meetings with a story from Kingswood's past, which, if you're interested, I would share those too, and that twinkle in his eyes and that boyish smile that he has on now. Ivan, I know you lighten my load and brighten my day many, many times. Thank you. Cooperative spirit, another, I guess that's 2 words. But since I'm writing it, what can you do? Ivan has been a team player from the very beginning of his ministry at Kingswood University, always ready to offer sound financial advice. He was on board even if a decision was made that he would probably not have recommended. All the presidents that you have served under never had a cause to question your loyalty or your wholehearted support of the team. Well, I could say so much more about you, Ivan, that all of it would be true and all of it would be gracious. But I think my time is up. So in conclusion, Ivan, it was my blessing to work with you for a total of 18 years. You've not only been my colleague, but also my friend. I have been blessed by your advice, your support, and your encouragement, especially the year that I was president, acting president, interim president. I tried to act like a president. I know that no one is irreplaceable, and you would be the first to admit that. No one's irreplaceable. But you have spent 40 years putting your unique stamp on this institution. That, my friend, is irreplaceable. May God bless you and Debbie as you work through what it means to be retired. God bless.
Warm greetings to you, my dear friend, Ivan Graham, and greetings to all of the Kingswood family in the matchless name of Christ. Thank you, President Lennox, for inviting me to join with others in this salute of your most distinguished service to the kingdom, Ivan, across these last 40 years. For sure, Ann and I would be there present with you if it were not for the travel restrictions from this COVID-19 crisis. First, though, for context, I can only speak for 19 of your 40 years, although I am sure that for some of those years it should count double, or perhaps more. When I reflect over the countless hours of working together, our laughter, and so many other wonderful memories, I am most grateful for these 4 remarkable attributes that it's a joy to share. First was your professional expertise as a CFO. There was never a question about the accuracy and integrity of your work and the financial report you prepared, along with your capacity to explain exactly where our current financial position was. Your financial counsel and thoughtful wisdom was a treasure trove of insight during my service as president. This was a priceless gift to the institution. Second is your work ethic. For 19 years of rather intense labor together, I always knew I could count on you, Ivan. Trustworthy, dependable, solid as a rock. Your commitment to the growth and success of the institution was unshakable. And only God knows the countless hours of work you offered to Christ as a distinguished institutional leader. What a priceless gift this was to me as your colleague. Third is your Nova Scotian sense of humor. I know this is my expression, but what I came to know as your irrepressible laughter and sense of humor, I pegged as coming from the rolling hills of Nova Scotia. What rich tonic in the midst of difficult season, or times of celebration and success. A priceless gift to all of those who have been blessed by the joy of your laughter and the sense of your humor. Fourth was your love of God and the way you cared for others. I was remarkably inspired, Ivan, by how deeply you cared for others, for students, colleagues, for your wife Debbie, and for God. when having to help make difficult decisions, I knew where your heart was and how you continually sought the highest good of all concerned. You are a God-centered man, Ivan, and his presence and love flowed freely to those around you. Finally, I want to thank you for such a rich and memorable partnership, Ivan. Your distinguished service, your close friendship, I count as one of God's most favorable gifts to me, for which I am most humbly grateful. You are a dearly beloved, true friend. Thank you.
Dr. Maxwell mentioned Ivan's usefulness to others in the Sussex community, but his influence actually extended nationwide, actually continent-wide, across North America, to an Association of Association of Christian Universities and Bible Colleges, their business officers. Ivan was the chairman of that group for a time, on the board for a number of years, and so I've asked Bruce Hooker to share his reflections from ABAC.
Ivan, I'm so happy for you as you start your next adventure, but at the same time, I feel the loss, and I know your colleagues do as well. We're going to miss you here at ABAC. Your guidance, your encouragement, your willingness to share your expertise with other business officers, these things have made a difference in people's lives and in the industry as a whole. Your service as a board member, and especially as president of the ABAC Board of Directors, raised the standard for the entire industry, and we're all better for it. It's hard to imagine the world of Christian higher education without your involvement, without your influence, without your support, but I know God has new work for you to accomplish, and you're going to love serving in a new capacity. Thank you for all you've done for the world of Christian higher education, for all you've done for your peers and colleagues, and a special word of thanks for all you've done for me personally. You will recall, I'm sure, a time in my professional life when things were especially tough, and the approach you took to help me through it changed my entire life, both professionally and spiritually. Your legacy, I believe, is likely much greater than you actually realize. Ivan, you have made a difference. This world, my world, is better because of you. Thank you, and I pray God richly blesses you in the years to come.
The chairman of our Board of Trustees would love to be here, but as I mentioned, travel restrictions keep Peter in Moncton, but he made sure we had this video in tribute to you.
Well, Ivan, what an incredible privilege it is for me as both chair of the Board of Trustees for Kingswood University, but also as Atlantic District Superintendent, to bring greetings on behalf of the school and on behalf of our district family to you on this really incredible occasion. Ivan, you have been a kingdom servant unequaled in your longevity, commitment, your constant adaptation to changes and to changing not just personnel, changing bosses, changing needs. You continue to not only innovate in the things that the kingdom has needed most, but you have been incredibly grace-filled with people. You are someone who loves, who is thoughtful, who is kind, and someone who is always quick to point people to the spiritual perspective of how something that looks like a problem on the surface is actually shaping up to be a way for God's provision in a situation. I can't think of all the times that I came to a Kingswood Board of Trustees meeting and ready to kind of process the news and the information at hand, and sitting down with you and looking at the finances and the perspective that you would give on things really helped us to see not only how things were in good shape because of God's provision, but actually things were in a place where we were positioned for a brighter future. And So thank you for your skill and your leadership in the financial ways that you have contributed to the mission of Kingswood University over these 4 decades or so. And thank you for your heart of faith. You are a godly man who has insight and wisdom and a passion for the things that matter most. And I want to thank you for your influence in my life as a student. I remember, like hundreds and thousands of us over time, sitting across the table, trying to crunch numbers and making things work from a financial basis, and you helping to figure that out and provide those solutions. So thank you for all you've done for the Kingdom, Ivan. We couldn't be more proud of you. We couldn't be more grateful to Debbie for all the ways that she has supported you and walked with you in this journey. You've been an incredible team, and we just want you to know how much we love you, how much we seek to honor and esteem you on this very important occasion of your retirement. And we look forward to the ways that you'll continue to make a difference in the future of Kingswood, even from what may feel at times, I'm sure, like the bleachers. We know you'll continue to be a major player in the future of this school. So God bless you, sir, and thank you for this opportunity to show you the respect and the honor that is so due on this important and special occasion.
You never know what a decision does. I'm sure Dr. Mitchell had no idea the impact of his decision more than 40 years ago. It was January of 1979. Ivan and Debbie had moved with their family from Nova Scotia. Ivan had a call to ministry, and he was going to begin his ministerial preparation at what was then Bethany Bible College. Ivan had been working in the banking industry prior to his call, conversion and his call, and so it was natural that he would work part-time as a bookkeeper. But Dr. Mitchell recognized Ivan's abilities and hired him not only to work part-time as a bookkeeper, but as his abilities became evident, the president and others decided that Ivan would make a great full-time business manager. And so by that summer, the invitation was given. At first, you resisted. You weren't sure how this would fit with your calling to ministry. And President Mitchell assured you that working as the business manager at Bethany would definitely be a ministry. So more than 40 years later, his words have proven true over and over again. We've heard it tonight, the ways that you have ministered to hundreds and thousands of fellow staff and students. You heard Dave Prez use words like trustworthy, dependable, solid as a rock. I asked Mark Gorvet for his thoughts. He served as president here from 2011 to 2015. He describes his service with you, these are his words, as an absolute joy. Quoting, you always found a way to make things happen on time, under budget, with excellence, and with a positive attitude. As I reflected on you, the very first thing that came to my mind, among all the other things I could say about you, was your sense of humor. You referred to that twinkle in his eye. I love that twinkle, that smile. You're a jokester. Your first joke to me was that, and these are your words, it's my job to keep you out of prison. Except I noticed you weren't laughing. You were only half joking. And the good news is that so far, so good. But at bare minimum, what you were saying in that half joke was your job is to keep things legal. And you absolutely did that. But getting to know you, there was so much more to your ethic than just keeping things legal. Even more than just keeping things ethical. Even more than just keeping things fiscally prudent. You have a capacity to be fiscally brilliant. Here's what I mean. There would be so many times, and Peter referred to this, so many times when I would come to you with some desperation. I would cross the hall to your office, and I would be gripped with an intractable problem, and I would share it with you. You would listen, and you would nod, and I would leave your office with a brilliant, creative, and perfectly legal solution. That's what I mean by fiscal brilliance. So you're not only keeping me out of prison, but you're keeping Kingswood out of the prison of financial duress. And I wish you could have all been part of the board meeting today. Because in the midst of what is the most difficult time that higher ed has faced, certainly in my lifetime, but I suspect much longer, the board meeting today was filled with positive reports, genuinely positive reports about what God is doing here, and so much of it goes right back to that fiscal brilliance, which has helped us to be in a position to weather what promises to be a very difficult time, but with a measure of sustained and sustainable confidence. Fiscal brilliance. So not just your sense of humor, but your competence. And of course, others have mentioned this. You are a man of faith. Now that's important, but here's why I think that's especially important. I've been in ministry all my professional life, and I have known treasurers. And I've known treasurers who came to view the money as their own. So if you came to them to ask them for any money, they always treated it like you had your hand in their pocket, and that they gave it to you, if they gave it to you at all, with a sense of grudgingness. And they had a tendency to negativity, like it's almost serving their purpose to say things are much worse than they are. That was not your modus operandi. In fact, you set the perfect tone. Fiscal prudence, even fiscal brilliance, with faith-filled positivity. You found a way to do much with little, you heard that? With much with little, all the while believing in a God who owned everything. You were passionate about bridging the gap between the cost of a high-quality education and what a student was able to pay. You were faith-filled, but even more than that, you were faithful. And of course, I've got to say, 41 years of doing anything demonstrates faithfulness, especially in the challenge of these last few years. These have not been easy years. There was Scotia's illness and the challenges that presented, and then your own illness, your tendency to be finding yourself on the kitchen floor more often than you had intended. Through all of that, what must have been a very discouraging series of events and delayed recovery, you were just faithful. You just kept doing the things that you were always doing with the same positive attitude. You demonstrated this faithfulness to Kingswood, but even more than that, there was this faithfulness to God, and I'm sure that's where your sense of humor comes from. It is from Nova Scotia, but it's deeper than that. It's why it mattered to you to remain competent. It's how you remained faithful. So we're privileged to honor you, Ivan, for more than 4 decades of ministry. Let's not make any bones about it. More than 4 decades of ministry to Kingswood and to the kingdom. And so we have some tokens of our appreciation. They're only tokens. What do you give a person who's given like you've given? But first, there is the assurance of a farewell gift. You've deferred that farewell gift by continuing to work on a part-time basis. And actually, that gives me 2 reasons to be grateful. But that farewell gift is coming to you when your part-time gig as Executive Director for Financial Affairs ends, which I hope isn't for a while. I do intend to outlast you, but I've also had the joy of hiking with you, and so I know you love the out-of-doors, and so I thought you might like one of those jackets too. So we have a Kingswood jacket for you, Ivan. I think this fits, and you'll enjoy that hiking. We also have a certificate of commendation to Ivan Graham in appreciation of your dedication and distinguished service as financial officer, presented on the 16th day of October, 2020. We have something else, and we thought that this would be good for you and it'd be good for us. We would love to have you and Debbie join us on a future vision tour as our guests. We don't know exactly when that will be, but we're sure that it's going to happen again. And when it does, we would just love to have you as our guests. It's a little bit selfish because it would be such a great experience to have you mingling with those who come on that trip. But also, it's our way of saying thank you for all that you've given to us. We so appreciate it. Ivan, I know you'd like the opportunity to respond, and I'll invite you to do that now.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. A number of you have had significant impact in my life and been partners with me in ministry here or in the community. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And thank you to everyone who has shared words of commendation. I really appreciate that, although I think you went a little overboard. But nonetheless, I appreciate it. And, but really, I think there's a lot of other thank yous that should be expressed. The people I've got to mingle with and work with all over my 40 years here have directly impacted my life. I really feel like I'm the one that was blessed to be able to be a part of the Kingswood family. And the people I've got to meet, people I've got to work with, I've learned from everybody, whether some of the students obviously have impacted my life significantly. Some of the people I've worked with have impacted me significantly as well. So I can't think of anything I would have rather done or any place I would rather have worked than at Kingswood for my career. And feel like I've been blessed to have an opportunity to do that and be a part of the ministry of Kingswood University that really is impacting around the world. I've said to some people, you know, I love investing in people's lives because what you give will continue to give long after you're done being able to give. And that's, I just feel blessed by the people I've had the opportunity to work with. I feel blessed by the students that have been here. And I've been blessed by my wife's support. You know, there were all-nighters that we pulled, especially with Dave. And, you know, she has been a very gracious partner to me throughout that whole time. And it was a great place for our children to grow up. They're both in service industries now. They're both counselors helping people with the issues they have in life. And that is a direct result of the impact of Bethany students on them, mentoring them and investing in their lives when they were growing up as young teenagers and not so young teenagers. And so I feel like my whole family's been blessed by being a part of Kingswood. And I would be remiss, all the accolades that I received for the work that I did could only be accomplished because of the significant people I had worked with me in the finance department, the dedicated, hardworking, skillful people that worked with me in financial aid and in finances throughout my time here. So they really deserve some of the praise as well. I just was a beneficiary of their skilled and diligent labors. So thank you is the key word for tonight. And I can't help but be thankful for many, many reasons and feel truly blessed to have this opportunity to be at Kingswood and to work with many of you that are here. And even some of the suppliers that I've had the opportunity to work with. Airmark has been a great partner with us and, you know, have helped us. So I really don't have anything that I can say that's not positive and thankful tonight. So thank you very much.
Well, we're so grateful that you all chose to come. I know wild horses couldn't have kept you from this opportunity to honor Ivan on this occasion. We're grateful for your presence and encourage you to travel home safely. I'm sure it would be fine, as long as you keep 2 meters apart from one another, to stay and mingle. Well, let's close our time in prayer. The greatest work you do, Father, is in people. You created the universe out of nothing with just your words. But it seems to me that the greatest work you do is with people. It's in people. It's through people. It's a part of the strategy of creating strength out of weakness. And we have here tonight 2 men who have made much through their time at Kingswood. We thank you for them. I thank you for Greg and his faithful service, his ministry of food. And I thank you for Ivan and his ministry of finances. I thank you for the work that you've done in their lives and the work that you've done through their lives. Their example is a reminder to us that you've given abilities, talents, opportunities to us. Help us to be the kind of people whose lives matter, whose lives count for something, who invest in more than certainly ourselves, even in what we can see, but who invest in eternity and can count themselves rich, not for the money that they've made, not for the buildings that are named after them, even the dining commons named after them, but because they've invested in people. They've partnered with you in what seems to matter quite a bit to you. And now I pray your blessing on these men, on this institution that they love and have served. And I ask, Father, that you would be glorified as we seek to serve you by strengthening the church. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night. Thanks for coming.